Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and it's match day 21 in the Serie A. And I mean, there is not a single league in the world that is more tighter than Serie A. You really cannot predict any one team that is going to finish where. It is so tight, from the title to the European places to the mid-table to the relegation. I mean, it is so fucking tight. You cannot predict any single thing. So let's go ahead and make our prediction for the match day 21. The first game, it's Roma versus Genoa. It is 10th versus 11th. Roma the start for Ranieri was not really that good, but the last month or so they are starting to get under the groove. They are playing the way that Ranieri wants, and they're sort of starting to get the results. I mean, they are undefeated in their last 4 games, 2 wins and 2 draws, so they are sort of getting into the right path, and they're starting to climb up the table as well. They are 10th in the table at the moment, playing against the 11th side Genoa, who on the other hand side they are quite inconsistent. If I'm being very honest with you, a month ago they were in like the top 7, top 8. They have dropped down. They were before that they were below that as well. So like they have been quite inconsistent. I think it will be quite a close game between both these teams, but I just don't think we are going to get a winner. There are going to be goals, but it's not going to be a high scoring game. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Roma and Genoa. Up next, it's Bologna versus Monza. It is 8th versus 20th. Bologna, they have not won in the last 3 games, 2 defeats and a draw. Playing against a Monza side who finally won a game after about a month, more than a month. So I think both these teams are coming into this game with not a good form. Monza are going to be in high spirits. They needed that win. With that win, they have again raised the stakes in that relegation place. Like nobody is, if one team misses a bit, the second team is there to catch them. So it was important for Monza to win their game the last weekend. Bologna, as I said, they drew their game, so it is like again it's going to be quite a complicated game, if I'm being very honest with you. And again, I just don't see a clear winner in this game. Bologna are the home side, so that might give them a little bit of edge, but I'm gonna sit on the fence on this one as well, and I'm going with the same scoreline prediction that I went for the previous game. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Bologna and Monza. Up next, it is one of the biggest game in world football. It is Juventus versus Milan. It is 5th versus 7th. Now Juventus, I don't know where to start. I have already said so many times. We talked about Juventus so many times on this channel. Criticized Mota too many times. I feel like an all tape recorder continuously saying the same thing. They have drawn 13 games out of a possible 20 games. Like they have won 7 games, but 13 the rest 13 have been drawn. They are still undefeated, but I just don't think it doesn't really matter if you're not gonna go ahead and win the title. I mean, 7 wins and 13 draws. It is quite pathetic, to be very honest with you. Playing against a Milan side who are quite inconsistent, if I'm being very honest with you. They themselves are not playing that good, but if I had to pick one day, I would say Milan would go into this game with a bit more confidence, because they know how Juve play, and the way that Milan play, they could use really go ahead and hurt Juventus in this game. But I'm not gonna go with Milan, and I'm gonna sit on the fence on this one as well. I mean, unfortunately it has been the pattern of this video. 3rd game, and I'm going for another draw, but this time I think there are going to be more goals as compared to the other 2. I'm going for a 2-all draw between Juventus and Milan, and unfortunately for Juventus, it is going to be their 14th draw of the season. From one massive game to another massive game, it is Atalanta versus Napoli. It is 3rd versus 1st. Now Atalanta, they went on a 12-game winning streak and everything was going great for them, but then they have sort of hit a break. 3 continuous draws. They have dropped 6 points in a row, and that has made them drop down to 3rd position. Napoli, on the other hand, they have taken off from Atalanta. They have now 6 games a winning streak for Napoli, and they are right back in it. They're on the top of the table, because Inter drew over the weekend, and if even Inter win, like they are going to be on the same points as Napoli if they win this weekend with the game in hand. So it is looking really good for Napoli, but they are going away to Atalanta. I think it will be quite an interesting game, quite a fun game as well. There are going to be goals in this game, because both these teams like to go ahead and play attack minded football. And unfortunately, I'm going to go with another draw. I know it sounds like boring, but I cannot really pick a winning team out of these 2, and but I think it's going to be quite an entertaining game. I'm going for another 2-all draw between Atalanta and Napoli. Moving on, it is Fiorentina versus Torino. It is 6th versus 12th. Fiorentina, I don't know what has happened there. Like, they were on a great run. They were on a 7-game winning streak. They were fighting for the title. And in the last month or so, everything has gone downhill. 4 defeats in the last 5 games. And then just 1 point from a draw. So they really need a win. They cannot really afford another defeat here, or they cannot afford to drop more points. Forget about, going for the title. It is now looking really hard for them to qualify for those Champions League places, which they really want to. Playing against a Torino side who are quite inconsistent, who themselves they one win in their last 5 games, and they are one of those teams who are really in that relegation scrap. Like, from the bottom 10 at the moment, anybody could get relegated, and Torino are one of those teams. And I just think, because of the situation they are in, Fiorentina being the home side, I think this could be the game where they that turn things around, and I think they are going to be able to do it. I think it will be quite a hard game for them, but I still think they are somehow going to nick it. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Fiorentina. The next game is Parma versus Venezia. It is 15th versus 19th. Now, both these teams have just 1 win in their last 5 games. Both these teams are not in a really good form. Parma have a 5-point advantage over Venezia. They are on 19 points. Venezia are on 14 points. So it is quite a crucial game. Parma are one of those teams who are they have a good difference, not that much, but a better difference as compared to other teams. So they know if they win this game, they can even they can get even more further away from the teams at the bottom. So they're really going to look at it. Venezia, they've given quite shocking results where you don't expect them to get any points. They've gone ahead and they've gotten 3 points or a draw out from somewhere. So they are like one of those surprising teams. But I just think Parma being at home, and Parma, one of those teams where you least expected they go ahead and they get the win. And I think this is one of those games where as a neutral, I would have said that Venezia are the favorite, even though they are at the bottom, 19 in the table. But Parma being at home, I think they are gonna somehow get a win. It's not going to be a good game of football. I think it's going to be a boring game of football. But I think Parma are going to surprise everybody, and they are going to nick it in the end. I'm going for a 1-0 win for Parma. Up next, it's Cagliari versus Lecce. It is 18th versus 13th. Now, Lecce are 13th and Cagliari are 18th, but the point difference between them is just 2 points. So that's why I keep on saying it's so tight between both these teams. Lecce have 2 wins in their last 5 games. They won last weekend as well. Cagliari, on the other hand, just 1 win in their last 5 games, and they have not been that good. I mean, some of the teams, when you look at them playing football, it has not been good from Cagliari, if I'm being very honest with you. And I like the way that Lecce plays, even though they have not won that many games, but the way that they play, I find it quite interesting, and I like it. It's entertaining. It's how football should be played. I think it will be quite a fun game, quite an entertaining game. But again, I just don't see a result in this game. I'm sorry, I'm giving out too many draw predictions for the draws, but I just don't see a winner in this game as well. I'm going for a very entertaining 1-1 draw between Cagliari and Lecce. Moving on, it is Verona versus Lazio. It is 18th versus 4th. Now, both these, 17th versus 4th. Both these teams have been really terrible in the last month or so. Verona expected in a way that they're not performing that well. They're not able to win their games, and they're really struggling at the bottom of the table. Lazio, on the other hand, just like Fiorentina, I don't know what has happened in the last month or so. They were really flying high. They were looking, fighting for the title, and now at the moment, they are in the top 4. They are in the 4th position on the table, but their form has not been that good, and their teams they're lucky that the teams below them are not performing to their level. Juventus, Fiorentina's, Milan's, none of them are performing to the level that you would expect from them, and that is why Lazio are able to hold on to that fourth spot. They really need to buckle up and need to get back to winning ways, and I think this could be one of those games where they get back to their winning ways. Playing against Verona, I think it will be an easy win for Lazio, if I'm being very honest with you, and I'm going for a 3-1 win for Lazio. Up next, it's Inter versus Empoli. It is 2nd versus 14th. Now, Inter, they drew their last game over the weekend, and that has put them, on the 2nd spot. Otherwise, they were leading at the top of the table. Playing against an Empoli side who have not won in their last 5 games. I think this is like the most easiest of the predictions of all the games that I have made. Inter are going to win it, and I think they are going to win it convincingly as well. And I think it could be a battering for Empoli. I'm going for a 4-0 win for Inter. The last game for this match day in Serie A is Como versus Udinese. It is 16th versus 9th. Como have been quite inconsistent. They are 16 in the table. They are tied with three other teams on 19 points, and there are two more teams who are ahead of them on 20 points. So they know one a couple of good games and they can get away from this pack. They're playing against Udinese side who have won just once in their last 5 games, and that was like the fifth game. The last 4 games they have not been able to win a game. Their last 3 games have been draws, and they are playing against a Como side at home. I think it will be quite a tough game for Udinese, and I think Como are really going to think that they can get something out of this game. In reality, I think this game is going to end up in a draw, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Como for the win. Maybe it's my bias towards Fabregas, but I think they might be able to just nick it. I think we have a very, very close game, but I'm going for a 1-0 win for Como. And that is it. With that, my predictions for match day 21 in the Serie A are completed. Let me know what you guys think of my predictions in the comment section below. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Let me know in the comment section below, and we'll see how many of them are correct and how many of them are wrong at the end of the weekend. Like the video, share it as well. Click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers as quickly as possible, so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and help us out. Until next time, bye bye.